Hey guys and gals, how's it going today? My name's Nick.
And I'm Jack. Welcome back to another episode of our podcast. So today we're going to be talking about everybody's favorite day of the week.
Oh, it's the one. It's the only. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Jack? You waiting?
I'm waiting.
You waiting? Okay.
Leg day.
Oh boy.
Leg day, leg day, leg day.
I have such a.
It's either you love it or you hate it. There's not much in between.
I'm not sure.
But
I love
it is very, very important. And hopefully our listeners out there aren't ones to overlook it. But I know there are a lot of people out there who do. And if you are, maybe we can, give you a few ideas to make it a little more enjoyable. Depending on what your idea of enjoyable is, of course.
Oh, being in pain and going to the gym? Yeah.
Yes.
That's enjoyable.
But it's very important. I mean, your legs are the vessels of your body.
The vessels of my body.
They carry you everywhere, and they're going to be carrying you for the rest of your life. So it's important to take care of them, and making sure when we are working them out, we're training them for strength, but also longevity, because we want to make sure that we're not taking a step forward and two steps back in the grand scheme of things. Like we have the ankles, we have the knees, we have the hips, and we need to protect these joints and make sure that they are going to be strong for the remainder.
Yeah, of course. I think a big thing when we were researching this topic is I never realized how much leg day made you flexible. Like how much it really helped you with your mobility because
Or hopefully it should, yes, as long as you're...
if you do it right.
Yes.
And you do it properly.
Absolutely.
Because I've seen guys that do their squats and they literally broke a blood vessel and they're in the hospital and it's just like wow.
With leg day, there's a lot of high risk, high reward exercises that usually fall within that. Most popularly, of course, the squat and the deadlift, and we'll get a little bit into that. But there's a lot when it comes to leg day.
I think flexibility and mobility, they really have this. The more flexible you are, doesn't necessarily mean how mobile you are, but it does mean that's how far you can go. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you take one stride and then you get more flexible and you take now you're like one stride and a half, now you're mobile that much more. So there's definitely a relationship between mobility and flexibility, and I think a lot of people don't focus on the flexibility, and I think leg day could probably help to bring that back.
Absolutely, and of course there's flexibility in every day of the week with training, but I feel like leg day definitely has the most room for it, or the biggest need for it.
Oh yeah.
Just because typically your legs are also a lot more prone to cramp than the rest of your body because they're just constantly under stress and underweight, especially your hamstrings. So stretching becomes more important. At least for me, I feel like I spend more time stretching on leg day than I do upper body day.
I think another thing I didn't realize when we were researching this is that leg day promotes a better posture. Like, you go on your first date with a girl, right? Like, you were in high school and you go up to, her old man, and she's sitting there and you're nervous as all can be. She's just absolutely stunning, absolutely gorgeous, and you just did leg day. And now your posture is all really grand and you just shake his hand. And in another scenario, you didn't do leg day and now your posture is just really bad.
Your abs aren't activated, you're been slouching all day. It's definitely doesn't qualify for a good first impression.
And it's like, that scenario is a bit silly, but when you think about it like
I
that.
get what you're saying. It is very posture and form based. Absolutely. Because, I mean, most leg, definitely you have your isolation machines, your quad extensions, hamstring curls, but the majority of leg movements, I feel like, is either a big range of motion or lots of room for different angles. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a lot you can do with it because you're not in a you're not being held down, or not held down, but contained by, for example, like say like a seat. Like say a lot of these machines are all, they have you in a specific position, and when you're doing, say, lunges, when you're doing squats, when you're doing these things, like you can make a tiny little adjustment and change where the majority of that pressure is being put on your body. For like the leg press, for example, like you can, the height of your feet from high to low changes where that where the majority of the pressure is, and the width. Like you can constantly play around, and there's just so much more room for experimenting with leg day. But that being said, again, you do got to be careful, because if you don't have that good foundation with flexibility, you can risk tearing stuff, and there's lots of risks.
Yeah, and I think a really big one that we kind of hinted at earlier was the why am I blanking on the second term I'm trying to think of? I know there's squat, and then you said
Deadlift.
deadlift. Thank you. I was thinking something dead, dead man, dead body,
No, that's just
deadlift.
whenever you do it, usually you have a dead body. But
Oh yes.
yeah, those two are very high risk, high reward, and they're definitely something you need to have proper instruction with when you're learning how to do it, because again, posture is the most important thing there, and if you don't have good posture, you're gonna have a bad back. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I think complacency is a really big thing. Like if you aren't constantly looking at your form, over time you're just going to sit there and you're going to get to this point where you just don't you're probably going to injure yourself because you were ignorant.
Yeah.
Not because you hated the fact that someone couldn't teach you or that you were unknowledgeable. It's just over time you just, oops, sorry, now my back's busted because you just got complacent and you stopped your fitness journey and you didn't realize that your mind-body connection was a little wonky. Now, I'll admit, there have been times where I sit there and I think to myself, hey, am I really doing the best form here? And, for all intents and purposes, sometimes no, because like I said earlier, you get in a rush, or you just you wanna go to the gym, but you only got 30 minutes, so now you got to go through your entire set. And I think a really good way to help with leg day is maybe don't go for maximum weight, go for endurance, because I feel like a big problem is just everybody hates the aspect of not being able to. They just do, let me phrase this. They don't like the idea of leg day, and they don't like how it feels. And if it wasn't all about trying to get the biggest and the baddest muscle, I really feel like people would show up for leg day and execute it a lot more. You know what I'm saying?
I do. And why it's overlooked? I mean, there's a few stigmatisms out there, and like for guy, I feel like definitely people affiliate leg day more with like girls like leg day, and guys like arm day, or chest day. And just because when you think about it, like the main features, I guess we typically look at, which that's not even true, because everybody's different. But guys like having big arms and big chests so they can flex their muscles. Girls like having a nice big butt with lean legs, with not a bunch of, like, all about that thigh gap, and all about having a nice rounded butt. So like our priorities are different in genders, but I feel like any true fitness lover realizes that regardless, we should be working them a decent, almost an even amount. A full body workout plan is always the way to go. And yes, there's a lot of people who don't like leg day because of either they don't care about having a strong looking legs as much, or just it can be more intense. It can take more out of you because there's a lot more that goes into it, like your balance and your core and your posture and, being aware of all the little things so you don't hurt your back. But once you make significant progress, I feel like, with your leg day, I feel like the momentum can just carry you and you learn to love it.
Yeah, and I think you kind of hinted at this earlier. I remember another part of my research was this idea of imbalance. You you truly have this thing where your upper body starts to develop and you just have this deficiency, and this imbalance, it causes issues with the posture, the gait, the overall physical performance. Neglecting that lower body, it'll just put more strain on the muscles on the upper body, so you're increasing that risk of injury, limiting overall fitness progress. And it's like, do you want to spend time in the hospital because you skipped leg day? And I mean, that seems a little counterintuitive, but it's just, I go back to that, that little tidbit I was talking about. It's like, what if we went for endurance instead of, maximum efficiency or maximum, hey, let's go get that big weight. See if I break 450 pounds today or something.
And you're completely right, especially in the beginning when you're still learning and not comfortable with some of these movements. Definitely go for endurance and just go for control. So endurance, you keep a nice slow, steady pace that you're able to really focus on the blood flowing and the contraction. But once you are more comfortable with it, that's when you can start having that balance of heavier training versus lighter training. And so for me, I have a heavy leg day and then a light leg day. So a heavy day goes first. I do lift a little bit heavier, but again, everything I'm going heavy on, I've been doing for years and years and feel very comfortable lifting heavy with them. And heavy isn't still me maxing out. My heavy is going down to like 8 reps, maybe 5 at the lowest, but that's me going heavy as I possibly can while doing 8 of something.
Yeah, and that's a very good point that builds off what we were saying earlier. And it's just the constant, the grind of the gym, the constant grind of life. And I think a really good big part of trying to get a really good adequate leg day is eating properly beforehand, having the fuel for before and after your leg days, that balanced diet, including protein, carbohydrates, healthy fats. It just provides that necessary nutrient to just bounce you right back,
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people just neglect what they eat, God knows you and I, we could eat horses and, we'll hop right into the gym and I guess we'll gallop because we just ate a horse. So I really do think that that's about it for this short episode with me and Jack. Jack, you got any closing remarks, buddy?
Yeah, just to end it up, just even when we are kind of still trying to figure out a good leg day, just stick with the simple stuff in the beginning, like just wall sits and like lunges and calf raises. Like, don't feel obligated to use these big, pieces of machines and use a lots of weight. Like, stick with the basics. You can go a long way with some good wall sits and lunges, let me tell you.
I feel like you and I have different ideas of if wall sits are fun.
Oh, I don't think they're fun, but they're effective, let me tell you. Especially supersetting, going after a more heavier exercise. But yeah, just again, experiment. And if you are doing something with more weight or something with a higher risk, like squats or deadlifts, please take the time, do your research, and have somebody to help you. But yeah, that's all we got for today, guys. Talking about leg day, and I'll see you on the next one.
All right, guys, bye.